Good day, my name is Jelben Vergara Sino, BSc Agronomy 3rd year, Section A. Finance and Development back to basic economic concept explained. Capitalism, an economic and political system in which a country trade and industry are controlled by private owners for profit rather than by the state. Pillars of capitalism: private property, self-interest, competition, market mechanism that determine price in a decentralized manner through interaction between buyers and sellers. Freedom to choose with respect to consumption, production, and investment. Limited role of the government. Private property is yung taong nagsasaka or nagre-rent lang sa isang taong may kayang bumili ng yuta, at yung hindi under sa government, yung may ibang nagmamanage. Self-interest to yung ikaw lang mismo nagko-consume or yung ikaw lang nakikinabang. Competition, ito din yung mga kadahilanan ng sa ating mga produkto na minsan humihina, minsan lumalakas. What is Keynesian economics? Keynesian economic is a microeconomic economic theory of total spending in the economy and its effect on output, employment, and inflation. Keynesian economics was developed by British economic John Maynard Keynes during 1930s in an attempt to understand the Great Depression. During the Great Depression was the worst economic downturn in the history of the industrialized world, lasting from 1929 to 1939. It began after the stock market crash of October 1929, which sent Wall Street into a panic and wiped out millions of investors. The revolutionary idea. Keynes argued that the inadequate overall demand could lead to prolonged periods of high unemployment. An economy's output of goods and services is the sum of four components: consumption, investment, government purchases, and net export. The difference between what a country sells to and buy from foreign country. Stabilizing the economy. Stabilizing policy is a package or set of measures introduced to stabilize a financial system or economic. The term can refer to policies in two distinct sets of circumstances. Micro and macro, the economic divide. Microeconomic, which is concerned with how the overall economy works, kung paano daw mag-move yung mga trabaho in as a whole. Microeconomics is concerned with how supply and demand interact in individual market for good and service. Supply na kung ano yung demand, kung ano yung mas madaming needs sa market. Why divided? In fact, from the 1980 century until the Great Depression of 1930s, the study of how human societies organize the production, distribution, and consumption of goods and service. Economic models is stimulation of reality. The modern economic, all product of goods and service, all buying and selling, all employment. The economic life of every individual is interrelated, at least to a small extent, with the economic lives of thousands or even millions of other individuals. What makes a good economics model is a simplified version of reality that allows us to observe, understand, and make predictions about economics behavior. A good model is simple enough to be understood, with complex enough to capture key information. Sometimes economists use the term theory instead of model. Why model failed? Failure models define failure rates, frequencies, and other statistical details observed in real systems. These models are used mainly in simulation and prediction systems to recreate failures. Econometric making theory count. Economists develop economic models. Economists also build models to study what if scenarios such as the impact of the overall economy of introducing a value added tax. Despite their diversity, empirical economic models have features in common. A daunting tax, it's intimidating or overwhelming in a way that make you not even want to try to do it. Perfect competition. There are large number of identical supplies and demanders of the same product. Buyers and sellers can find one another at no cost and no barriers prevent new supplies from entering the market. What is direct investment? It is an investment in the form of controlling ownership in a business in one country by entity based in another country. Phase of investment. A stock face value is the initial cost of the stock as indicated on the certificate of the stock in question. A bond face value is the dollar figure due to be paid to the investor once the bond reaches maturity. Local effect. A strong effect of average wage in local firms, but this largely reflect the competition among foreign and domestic firms for local workers. In principle, FDI could also affect wage in local firms through its impact on the productivity in those firms. And that's the end of my presentation about finance and development. Back to basic economic concept explain. Have a good day.